Really? Do I strike you as the type of guy who can be bought with money?
Yes, you do.
Well, you're absolutely right.
This money glitch. Okay. All you gotta do is deposit a fake check at a Chase ATM. Yeah. Just write down whatever amount, but you can withdraw the funds immediately from your account. What? It doesn't matter if you got like enough or whatever, it automatically clears the check. No way. I saw it online. It's like a real life money glitch. I mean, you wanna know what that's called? What? That's check fraud. That's fraud, you moron. No. You're literally writing out a fraudulent check to JP Morgan, one of the most powerful entities on the face of the planet. No, it's a money glitch. It's not a money glitch. It's jail time. Bert, you just robbed a bank. I didn't know that. You didn't know what? What did you think was gonna happen? They were just gonna secretly get away from stealing from a bank that has all of your information? I saw it on X. They see you. No.
The other day I was going to my local Starbucks, and when I got to the till, the barista not only had the audacity to be a woman, derogatory, but also talk to me. This is unacceptable. So in no uncertain terms, I screamed, "Excuse me, whore! I'm married! Do not flirt with me!" As I proceeded to show her my phone wallpaper and wallet photos, which were both of my life fallen shadow, and then I proceeded to growl at her until the police arrived to escort me out.
Man, Green Lantern must be having the best day. He basically got sent back to the 50s, a great time in America, and he's getting to meet his heroes that he worshipped as a kid. I mean, are there any downsides to this?
It's an honor to fight beside you. The feeling's mutual. You're a credit to your people, son.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
Oh shit, what? Okay, oh, well, oh damn, look, I got eye movement and stuff. Okay, so I might have done stuff. We might have more, we might have new emotes and stuff. And I swear to God, if anybody comes in here, and calls me keyword elf, which one is it? Oh crap, which one is it? I think it's this one. No? It's this one. There we go. Is anyone calls me keyword elf? Okay. If I can just get, there we go. Okay, I don't like the... It needs to be reversed. If I look over here, I want the eyes to look over here. But it's just, it's following in. I want, let's just do, okay. Weird. Okay, well. There we go. I saw I had the wrong chat open. Oh, let's have a jar of elf. Was it cookies? Sparky's Tech Corner, welcome to the chat. Festiva, welcome. In fact, actually, let's do this real quick. Let's greet all the people. Deathly Goat, McSkittles, Madnal Fox, Nico Fox, Sparky's, which I already said, but hello again. Festiva, Nerdy Texan Accountant, McSkittles, I think I already said. Oh, hello, kitty. We have a kitty chilling with us today, guys. Say hello to Draco, everybody. He's right here. He's leaning up against a desk and he's being very cute. Stopping by to say hi, have a fun stream, Eva. Oh, hello. Alright, so first we're gonna start with this. No background music. No model. And then here is the new one. Alright, there we go. Hope everybody enjoyed that. That was one of my more fun covers to do, and I did a lot more with like editing and stuff like that. I added reverb and stuff like that I usually don't add to my covers. So I hope you guys like that. Little palette cleanser as we get into the terribleness that is all the things we have to cover today. Clutch and our tell oh god, I'm gonna have a stroke. Okay, let's see here. Ew. She so I just said something. Okay, I missed a cover. Read, just call me Anarchy. That's way better. Huh. And you missed a cover. Yeah, you should be able to just go back. Maybe, or just YouTube Live not do that. I don't know. I don't know what I've been told. Okay, so we have a number of things to be reacting to today. And we're going to start out with...
Ah, yes, the only success...
Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fine. I guess, the fat electrician is gonna take it. Because, like, I was just going through and seeing what I wanted to react to first, but he just came in hot and ready. Like a little Caesar's pizza. That was really good. Oh, thank you very much. Winter's History. So this is, World War II vets versus corrupt cops. The Battle of Athens, Tennessee. I'm actually kind of familiar with the situation legally that actually created the circumstances that caused this to happen. This was, I believe this was in, Cook County, Tennessee. I might be wrong on the county. But basically, all the real men went off to war, and the ones who either couldn't fight or just didn't want to fight, decided to stay behind. And the cops basically just turned the town into their own cash cow. The mayor turned the town into his own cash cow. It just became so corrupt. The election for being like defrauded every year. No one was able to do anything. And then soldiers from the war started coming home, and the cops thought it was going to be a good idea to extort veterans that just came home from the war. I'm pretty sure the fat electrician is going to explain it far better than I can, but that is what my cursory knowledge of the Battle of Athens, or what led to the Battle of Athens, Tennessee. I'm sorry, not Kentucky, not Cook County, Kentucky, Cook County, Tennessee. But Ricory, yes, we're apparently fucking Scooby-Doo now, Jesus. Okay, listen.
Ah, yes, the only successful armed rebellion in U.S. history.
Here we go.
Today we're talking about the Battle of Athens, aka the Battle of the Ballads, aka the War of McMinn County, whatever you want to call it. The fact of the matter is that in 1945 and 1946, hundreds of Americans returned home to McMinn County, Tennessee after winning World War II. Upon their return, they would discover that their local government had been corrupted. They were engaging in rigging elections. The sheriff's department was mercilessly beating innocent civilians and extorting hundreds of thousands of dollars from taxpayers, and they decided to do something about it. This story has achieved legendary status, with many people hearing and knowing about it in passing, but very few people understand how epic this story actually is. But you're gonna learn today, right after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Sundays for Dogs. Look, we're not gonna overcomplicate this. It's basically fancy dog food that you don't have to keep like in a
fancy dog food. Nice. Ratio Hichikata, welcome. By the way, I do have a surprise for anybody who decides to either super chat me with head pats or Ko-Fi me to give head pats. There's a new emote that I've well, there's actually two new emotes. There's one that's the forbidden one, but there's another one that's been It's been suggested for a while now. I'm nodding, and you can kind of see some of it. But like, if you trust me, just trust me. If you give me head pats, you're gonna see some wild shit with the ears. Let me tell you.
Can, so you don't need a can opener. You don't have to put it inside of your fridge. It's made with real meat and a bunch of other stuff. So it actually kind of looks and smells like beef jerky. And I don't know. The dog eats it and it doesn't make his shit weird. So I don't know what else you want from dogs.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, here we go.
It might just be beef jerky.
Oh no! Is it gonna work?
Yeah, it's
there
pretty
it
much
goes.
beef jerky.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
The head
Anyways,
press
for
isn't
legal
working,
reasons,
though.
I can't recommend this
I
as dog
forgot
food,
to
but
add
it
the
is
head
technically
press.
made with human-grade ingredients,
So,
and if we're
like, I
being
have to
honest,
fix that,
it
but there
tastes
you
better
go.
than pretty much
I know,
every
they're not very
vegetarian
fast, but there's
Mariotti
air
I've ever
wiggle.
had. So if you want to check it out, I'll have a link in the discount code down below. Let's get back to the video.
Air wiggles, air wiggles, air wiggles, air wiggles, air wiggles, air wiggles.
All right, sit down, shut up. This is complicated, so pay attention. All right, our story begins in 1910 when a man by the name of Edward Crump becomes the mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. Upon becoming mayor, he sets out to build a political machine. The way he does this is he's willing to look the other way for illegal gambling and alcohol operations as long as they're willing to pay a large protection fee to Mayor Crump. He then uses that money to influence other elections, effectively having all the other politicians and judges and elected officials in his back pocket. Anybody that dares to go against him is absolutely crushed. If you're a local businessman and you don't agree with him and you're not willing to play by his rules, guess what? You're gonna have no parking signs in front of your entire store.
Yep.
If that's not enough, on one occasion, he actually had the police department stand outside somebody's store and search every customer when they went in and when they left. And if that wasn't enough, he would have city inspectors go in and find out that, oh, your business isn't up to code, we're gonna have to shut you down. And more often than not, there was no legal recourse because he owned the judges too. Over the course of decades, this would expand throughout the entire city of Memphis and then the entire Shelby County area, the most populated county in Tennessee, and then it would spread throughout the entire state of Tennessee. By the late 1920s, Crump was literally known as Boss Crump, the King of Memphis.
What, you some type of pimp?
I mean, look at him. He even looks like a 1930s silent movie villain.
What?
Anyways, by the 1930s, Crump has essentially the entire state of Tennessee.
I'm sorry, we're going back. Look at this guy's face. Holy shit. What? Look at this motherfucker. Holy shit. Okay, I'm good. Oh, man. Oh, that was fucking great.
Silent movie villain. Anyways, by the 1930s, Crump has essentially the entire state of Tennessee in his back pocket. Absolutely everybody. Politicians, sheriffs, elected officials, judges, all of it. And in 1936, he backs a man by the name of Paul Cantrell to be the sheriff of McMinn County. Now, Paul Cantrell wins by a landslide, A, because he's backed by Crump, but B, he also runs on a really, really good platform that he was gonna put an end to fee grabbing. Now, at this point in time, the sheriff's department wasn't paid by taxpayer dollars. They were almost exclusively paid for by the fines that they collected. Now, that sounds crazy to us today because it is crazy for obvious reasons. You are now putting a financial incentive to law enforcement to arrest and fine as many people as possible, and in a lot of places, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. By Fat Electrician here. Absolutely. Like, if you put, like, this is kind of what we're seeing right now. Like 'em or hate 'em, with the ICE raids. What you are seeing now when the federal government put a quota, you need to get to 2,000, 3,000 arrests a day. That incentivizes and encourages ICE to now go after and target places that aren't in line with their initial intent, which is worse is first. We're going to go after the illegal immigrants who are criminals here, and we're going to get them out of here. They're no longer doing that. Now they're going to farms and Home Depots and anywhere they can because they have to meet that quota. When you create an incentive for arrests or for fines or anything, guess what's going to happen? Fines and arrests are going to go through the roof, and it might cross the lines of legality just to meet that quota.
So Cantrell came along and he was like, I'm going to put an end to that because it's obviously ridiculous, which is a good thing to want to put an end to. He said, you know what? I'm going to take a $5,000 a year annual salary, and that's going to be it. And I'm only going to fine and charge people and arrest people when they deserve it, and I'm not going to do it to make more money. That's a great platform and a just cause, so he wins. And then after winning, he decides, I'm not going to do that.
I lied.
Oh,
So
you
the McMinn County
motherfucker.
government steps in and is like,
Are
no, you
you
ran on that
fucking
platform. We're going to
kidding
go
me?
ahead and make it a law that you're going to take this $5,000 a year salary just like you said you would, and that's going to be that.
Oh,
so
okay.
Cantrell ends up filing a lawsuit
Okay.
suing the county, and he wins because
Wait,
he's
what?
backed by
What?
Crump. So now he's allowed to keep fee
You
grabbing,
mother, are
and he
you
takes
fucking
it to an
okay? Oh, holy shit! Holy, we just got hit with a lot of information all at once there. Okay, so basically what have happened, sorry, because he hit us with a whole lot of information all at once there. Okay, so basically this guy is running for mayor, and he's running on the platform of we're going to stop with fee grabbing, right? We're going to stop this, we're going to actually, like, do things right, and I'm only going to take a $5,000 a year salary. When he got into office, he decided he wasn't going to do that, to which the legislative body in this county decided, no, you are going to do this, and they passed a law limiting him to what he promised. He ended up suing the county, and because he was backed by this corrupt dude, he ended up actually winning. That's absolutely insane. I'm not sure how that fucking how that happened.
absolute extreme. Anybody that was arrested for anything was charged a minimum of $16, and that was the fee for getting arrested, getting driven to court, being booked, going through the whole process. $6 went to the arresting officer, and the other 10 went into the sheriff's department and the court system. To put it into perspective, $16 at this point in time is about $300 today. And they were arresting anyone for
lot.
anything they felt like, including
That's a fuck
drunkenness. They would literally just walk somewhere and be
remember, okay, remember this too. This is like in the Great Depression. Like we didn't really find out of the Great Depression until World War II. And we got involved with World War II. And once that started happening, we were able to claw our way out just through like war, like we do. But think about that. And you're arrested for whatever fucking reason, and you are required to, in the middle of the Great Depression, pay the equivalent of $300. So the sheriff can line his pocket, and the sheriff's office and the courts can line theirs. That's fucking disgusting.
like, hey, you look drunk, you're under arrest. This was the 1930s. There's no breathalyzer, there's no field sobriety test. Literally, the deputy says, I think you're drunk. Guess what? You're fucking drunk. Give me $300. In the first 4 years he was sheriff, Cantrell paid himself $56,000, which is over $1 million in today's money. He also gave himself jobs that didn't exist.
Damn.
He was the superintendent of the county shed, earning him $2,500 a year. There was no county shed for him to be the superintendent of, but guess what? He's collecting the money. And anybody that dared to go against him would get brutally beaten,
Holy
if not
shit.
killed by his deputies, and they never got in trouble because the judges were part of the good old boy system. One of the primary
Oh,
judges involved in
Jesus.
this was Judge Sue Hicks. And to be fair, Sue Hicks has almost nothing to do with the rest of the story, so why am I bringing him up in the first place? Well, because he's actually the inspiration for the legendary Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named Sue, and I thought that was interesting.
Really? How do you do? You're gonna die!
Anyways, moving on. Now, this goes on for years. The entire town's mad about it. Everybody's pissed off, but there's nothing anybody can do. There's no legal recourse, and if they try to stand up to them, they're just going to get the shit kicked out of them by the deputies, so everybody just kind of lives with it. But hey, the silver lining, we live in a
Gotcha.
democracy. A couple years from now, we're just going to have another election, and we'll vote this guy out. We'll get a new sheriff,
Oh,
and hopefully
here's
that'll be
where I
a
get
good guy.
mad.
Well, next election rolls around, and they rigged the entire thing. Now, at this point in time in Tennessee, they had a poll tax. Basically, you had to pay money if you wanted to exercise your right to vote, which sounds crazy to us today, but that's how it worked back then. And it also wasn't that big of a deal at this point in time because usually the Democrat and Republican parties were willing to pay the poll taxes for the voters to show up and vote. So basically, the party was fronting the bill for people to come in and vote. But the problem is that you had to go pay your poll tax prior to the day of voting. So you had to go pay your poll tax and then have the valid receipt showing that you paid your poll tax and
Which
turn
is
that in
insane.
when you went to vote. But you had to pay that poll tax
Think about
like
that.
months in advance. So what they would do is they would never
Remember, this is a country in which every, like at least during this point in time, like, every man, except for, I think, black people, but like, you had a right to vote at this point. If you are, but even people who had a right to the constitutionally backed, they had to pay a fucking poll tax, they had to pay a fee and go through all this bullshit just to exercise a right given to them by the Constitution? That's fucking crazy.
Never publish or put out to the masses when the deadline to pay your poll tax was, unless you were in the know and they knew how you were going to be voting. Then they would let you know, hey, you got to buy your poll tax by this time. So they were essentially disenfranchising anybody that wasn't on their side. On top of that, dead people voted. People that didn't exist voted. The deputies got caught telling elderly people that if they didn't, quote, vote the right way, that their pensions would be held up. They also claimed that there was 1,500 absentee votes, which was a staggering number considering the neighboring county, Knox County, that had 6 times the population, had never reported more than 600 absentee ballots. In addition to that, nobody was allowed to observe or poll watch, and if they tried, they would get the shit kicked out of them by the deputies, and then they'd get arrested. So Cantrell obviously wins the next election because he rigged the entire thing. The people of McMinn County know that this is absolute bullshit. They're writing their state and federal politicians. The Department of Justice ends up launching an investigation in 1940. Nothing ever comes of it because Crump has connections in the federal government too. 1941 rolls around, Japan fucks around with America's boats, America enters World War II, and all the young men go off to war. Then in 1942, Cantrell decides his sheriff gig is too small for him. He's gonna run for Tennessee State Senate, and he's gonna appoint his right-hand man, Pat Mansfeld, to be the sheriff. Now, Cantrell is running against an incumbent politician, and this guy knows the ropes. He knows that Crump owns the entire state of Tennessee, and he knows that he's gonna be backing Cantrell, so he pretty much immediately just drops out of the race, and Cantrell runs unopposed. The incumbent senator that dropped out of the race, a man by the name of Robert Lindsay, when asked why he didn't put up a fight, said, and I quote, "I have been elected to state senate from McMahon, Bradley, Roane, and Anderson counties for 3 terms, each time by fair and honest methods. I might be elected again, but if I do so, it would be necessary for my friends in Bradley, Roane, and Anderson to resort to the same kinds of methods my opposition has convinced me it will use in McMahon. I do not intend to use such methods." Translation, I can't win unless I cheat, and I'm not gonna cheat. So Cantrell wins, becomes a state senator. From here, he goes about making it even easier to cheat in elections. What he does in McMinn County is he cuts it from 23 precincts, 23 voting locations throughout the county, down to 12, making it so people have to travel up to 20 miles to go vote. Bear in mind, this is the 1940s in rural Tennessee. People don't have cars, okay?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This is middle of the Great Depression. War just happened. Like everything, people don't have cars. You can't just travel 20 miles to vote. That's oh my god.
People are walking to voting locations. They're riding fucking horses, okay? Would you travel 20 miles on horseback or walk 20 miles to go vote in a sheriff's election? Probably not. Especially if you had to pay money and you didn't know when you had to pay the money and you don't have the fucking receipt.
If I ain't getting down there, it ain't worth it.
In addition to that, now that he's cut it down to 12 precincts instead of 23, now he can have more armed thugs there to intimidate people as they go to vote to make sure they're voting the right way. From here, 1942 election rolls around. They rig the entire thing. Pat Mansfield wins. DOJ investigates. Comes up with nothing. 2 years later, same exact thing. 1944. They rig the election. DOJ investigates. Nothing gets done. September 25th, 1944, a Navy Seabee by the name of Earl Ford comes back home to McMinn County. He's in his Navy uniform still, just got home from the war, and he decides he's going to go out to the bar and have a good time in his military uniform. Now,
okay, so let's break that down real quick. Right, so Navy, Navy boy coming back from the war, has a little bit of money in his pocket, decides to go out on the town on the bar, in his uniform. Now, if you are a normal person, in this time frame, you probably would oh, hey, you'd probably buy the kid a drink, you'd make him feel welcome, right? Not for the corrupt cops of Athens, Tennessee. You see, what they decided to do is they decided to go, oh, look at this. This is a boy fresh home from the war, with a fat check in his pocket, and we can arrest him and bleed him dry through a bunch of bogus, stupid fines. That is what these cops decided to do. They did not see a war hero retiring back from the war. They fucking decided to see a fucking easy mark. If that doesn't get you blood warning, I don't know what will.
To a normal person like you and me in 1944, seeing somebody in their Navy uniform coming home to the bar, you would probably think in your head, oh, it's a war hero coming home from the war. That's what a normal, sane, decent person would think.
Exactly.
But to the deputies of McMinn County, all they saw was dollar signs because they know that he probably has a ton of money because he's been racking up and saving the entire time he was in military service, and they're gonna arrest him and fine the shit out of him so they can make money. Upon leaving the bar, several deputies decide that they are going to engage Earl by hitting him in the back of the head with a club, not like, hey sir, why don't you come here so we can talk? Not, hey, I think you're drunk in public. No words were exchanged. They just hit him in the head. Obviously, he's dazed, doesn't know what's going on. He turns around and tries to put up a fight and, I don't know, maybe defend himself like any normal person would, not exactly resisting arrest when they open up by attacking you, at which point they draw a gun, shoot him in the chest, and kill him. Obviously, this upsets a lot of people in town that they just killed a young man coming home from the war, at which point the deputies claimed that he pulled a knife on them and tried to stab him and they were forced to shoot him. None of the witnesses that were there corroborated that. He was in a Navy uniform that didn't have pockets, so they don't know where he would be able to conceal a knife. And when they asked where the knife was after the fact, after shooting him in the chest, somehow the knife that he would have had in his hand trying to stab the police officer allegedly wound up behind him and underneath his dead body. And of course, the deputies get away with it. The deputy that shot him didn't even get fired or reprimanded because he's one of the boys of the political system, and that's the way this shit works.
We make our own luck.
1945 rolls around. World War II comes to a close. All of the young men from McMinn County that went off and fought all end up coming home. And the deputies just see more and more dollar signs, right? Anytime you see a young man between like 18 to 25, that guy served in the military, probably has a bunch of money. When World War II veterans left the service, they got mustering out pay, one big lump sum, so they know that they can just arrest these guys and fine the shit out of them and make a ton of money. One of the first veterans to have a run-in with the deputies is Sergeant Bill White from the United States Marine Corps. This man fought on Guadalcanal and Tarawa, and then after that went on to become a jungle warfare instructor stateside. His dad sends him over to the rationing board because it's World War II, just got over. They still have all these rationing committees. They're rationing rubber, sugar, gasoline, all kinds of things that people need. You have to have ration stamps and everybody's only allowed to get so much. So dad sends his son Bill down to the rationing board to get 5 gallons of gas. Rationing board is like, no. And Bill's like, all right. So he goes to his buddy who had been in town longer and is like, hey, the rationing board basically just told me to fuck off when I wanted to get some gas. What's the deal? And he goes, oh, there's a deputy at the rationing board. You need to go pay him off and then he'll wave you through and the rationing board will give you whatever you want. So Bill goes over to the deputy, pays him $5. Deputy waves it off. He gets his 5 gallons of gas and he leaves. And Bill watches the deputy pocket the money. Bill has no idea what the fuck just happened. He's thrown off. So he goes home and tells his dad, who was a Cav scout in World War I, this story. And his dad's like, yeah, that's just how it is here now. And his dad proceeds to tell him,
oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so, real quick pause here. Oh, Razio Ichikata says, since you have me thinking of Johnny Cash, have you heard the ballad of Ira Hayes? Sorry, it's pretty tragic. It involves a miscarriage of justice, too. I've heard a lot of Johnny Cash songs, but I don't think I've heard that one. I'll have to look it up at some point.
on this story about how he was on lunch break from work and he had a bottle of milk that he was drinking out of his lunch pail, and the deputy showed up, sniffed his milk and said there was alcohol in it, and arrested him for being drunk and fined him $16, which was almost a week's pay for him. So Bill's pretty pissed off, obviously, and within a matter of months, pretty much every veteran that had returned home from the war was equally as pissed off because they were all being targeted by the sheriff's department because they knew that they had money. The deputies got so bold that they would go into bars, not wait outside for them to stagger out drunk. They would just go.
They would just, they would just go into bars and arrest people? Are you fucking kidding me?
Into bars and start arresting people for being drunk inside of a bar. On multiple occasions, they would walk into a bar if there was like a dance or a big event and just arrest absolutely everybody there. Not because they were doing anything wrong, just because they wanted to get the money. So the veterans understandably started to get pretty pissed off, and they would just start drinking in private. They'd have their own private parties that the deputies didn't know about, so they could hang out with their friends in peace and not get arrested all the time. So all the veterans obviously wound up becoming really close friends. They all got together, they'd drink in private, they'd swap war stories. There's a guy by the name of John Fry who said he became the most powerful man in France for a couple weeks when his unit overtook a cognac distillery and he had all the liquor in France. So he was like, you know, the most powerful guy around, wheeling and dealing with all of his booze. Carl Anderson told the story about how a German officer threatened to cut his finger off when he refused to give him his wedding ring. Tom Dooley would always bring his pet monkey that he acquired while he was overseas and somehow smuggled back home to Tennessee. Like, it was just a group of crazy, incredible men that had awesome stories that wound up becoming friends and bonded over the fact that they were all being discriminated against for their service. And as time went on, they went from drinking and discussing war stories to talking about the current political climate and how to fix it. And as they talked to townspeople, they started to realize, oh, they're literally rigging the elections. They rigged 1942, 1944, and they're probably going to rig this next one in 1946. We need to do something. So they went to the only political opposition that the Cantel Mafia had, a man by the name of Otto Kennedy, a local businessman that owned the tire shop in town, and he agreed to help him, and his tire shop became their new head.
Can we all take a second to like appreciate the fact that this veteran apparently had brought home a fucking pet monkey? Like, what? Like, holy shit.
Leading up to the 1946 election, this group of veterans put out an ad in the paper reaching out to more veterans, basically saying if you were a veteran, and I quote, regardless of color or creed, if interested in cleaning up McMinn County and the return of good, clean, honest, and efficient government, don't fail to attend this event. Hundreds of veterans winded up showing up to this event, and they essentially pitched the idea to this crowd of veterans like, hey, look, regardless of whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or the color of your skin, we can all agree that this is fucked up and we need to restore order. We should band together and form a GI ticket, and we will run against Cantel and all of his men and replace all of them. And they all agreed, and they picked their candidate. Sergeant Henry Knox, who had served 40 months overseas, agreed that he would run for sheriff. Major Frank Carmichael volunteered to run as treasurer. Captain Bill Hamby was going to be the clerk of the court, and Captain Charlie Pickle was going to be the register of deeds. They had just selected the GI cleanup ticket, and their slogan was going to be, your vote will be counted as cast. And they chose that as their slogan because they knew they didn't need to win over
Look, it's hot and left. Look, I called it a call to action. And there's a reason why I called it a call to action. There was no, he didn't say bring your gun. He didn't say we're going to fight. He said we're going to clean up and we're going to run. And that's what these people did. They formed a GI ticket and they ran. Knox Henry for sheriff, Frank Carmichael for trustee, George Painter county court clerk, Bill Hamby for circuit clerk, Charlie Tickle for register of deeds. They risked everything. So there you go. So this isn't a call to arms. This is a call to action. This is entirely appropriate and would be allowed even today. This is not a militia being, and this is not a militia being formed now. This is a group of World War II veterans deciding to run for local and regional government.
Register of deeds. They had just selected the GI cleanup ticket, and their slogan was going to be, your vote will be counted as cast. And they chose that as their slogan because they knew they didn't need to win over the voters. Those voters would vote for anybody that wasn't part of this corrupt political machine. And the real struggle was going to be convincing the voters to show up and vote, because by this point in time, over the course of the last decade, they'd been so demoralized into knowing that no matter what happens, they're going to rig the election. They're going to take my money.
I didn't even, so I didn't think about that. But yeah, for like the last 3 election cycles, this county has continuously committed voter fraud and rigged the election. So I think by a far margin, the biggest challenge for these veterans is going to be convincing people to actually nut up and go to vote. Because again, they've been shown time and time again that their vote doesn't matter. And now you're coming in going, hey, your vote does matter. How many people are really willing to believe that?
money. If I show up, I'm just going to get harassed by armed gunmen and arrested, and then I'm going to have a target on my back. I'm just not even going to go vote. That was a real struggle.
Yep.
That was the hurdle they needed to overcome, was convincing the populace of McMinn County that this time democracy was going to work. They were not going to let them rig this election. These young men went across the world and fought for democracy and won, and now they came back home. They're going to fight for it again, and they're going to win again. And the veterans went absolutely ham trying to prove this to every single person in McMinn County. They literally went to every single door in the entire county and had personal conversations with every single person. Almost every person in McMinn County had personally met at least one member on the GI ticket and spoke to them in person.
Badass.
Felix had acquired a Piper Cub airplane somehow, and they were literally crop dusting pamphlets over the town for the GI ticket. They had trucks rigged up with loudspeakers, and they would drive around town telling everybody, show up, vote, your vote is gonna count this time. And after a while, it started to work. People started to believe that their vote was actually going to count this time, so they went, they paid the poll tax, they got their receipt, and what the deputies did in retaliation was they would go out and they would arrest veterans, and when they arrested them, if they had their poll tax receipt on them, they would confiscate it and not give it back so they couldn't vote. So they started reaching out to the bigger government. They wrote to the governor, they wrote to the attorney general, they wrote to Washington, D.C. One person even went as far as to tell the attorney general, if there's bloodshed this year, it's on your hands, and nobody did anything. As the election got closer and closer, there was really no campaigning from the machine side. They just upped the amount of harassment the deputies were doling out to veterans and anybody they thought might be friendly to those veterans. That's all they did. They were just in it to make more money. Why did they need to campaign? They were going to rig the election. They knew they were going to win. But they were starting to get a little bit nervous. So Paul Cantrell would step down from Senate, and he was going to come back to McMinn County, and he was going to run for sheriff this year. And his right-hand man, Mansfield, was going to take his spot in the Senate.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then election day came, August 1st, 1946.
So
and you gotta realize, it's just a small sheriff's department. They've only got like 30 deputies. There's hundreds of veterans. The veterans guaranteed that everybody would be safe going to the polls, and these armed thugs aren't gonna be able to outmuscle the veterans. There's just not enough of them. And then a literal caravan of cars came into McMinn County and Athens, Tennessee. Cantrell had brought in over 250 armed men, any men that he could find, other deputies from other counties, police departments, prison guards. They even deputized some prisoners, a lot of which were literally violent criminals.
What?
At this point, the veterans know shit's about to hit the fan, because Cantrell now has 250 armed men manning the 12 precincts. They are going to intimidate.
They deputize violent criminals who were serving sentences in prison and gave them a gun. Oh my god, these motherfuckers are asking for a war.
Absolutely everybody. So the GIs got together and issued a statement over the radio to the people of McMinn County. Quote, go to your precincts, vote, and stick around all day to hear who wins. This is not old Germany. Hitler is not telling you how to vote. Don't be bothered by any scare campaign. Cantrell's henchmen may try. You will be safe at the polls, and your vote will be counted as cast. The polling locations open up at 9 a.m., and in Athens, Tennessee, the county seat where most of the voting is going to be taking place, there's 3 voting locations: the Dixie Cafe, the Waterworks, and the courthouse. And at every single location, there is hundreds of people standing outside at 9 a.m. waiting to vote. Lines literally wrapping around the block. This is going to be a record-breaking election. And as soon as the polls open, shit hits the fan immediately. The armed thugs are intimidating everybody. They're only letting people in small groups, so they have control and intimidation. They're not letting anybody stick around to poll watch to make sure things are being done correctly. They're actively rigging the election, and everybody knows it. And then one of the deputies by the name of Wendy Wise decides he's not going to let an elderly black gentleman by the name of Tom Gillespie vote. Tom isn't putting up with it. He's put up with enough shit his whole life. He's a black guy in the 1940s in the South. Like, he's seen some shit. He's not putting up with shit from this deputy. So he's like, no, I'm going to vote. It's my right. He goes to do it, and Wendy Wise proceeds to assault him with brass knuckles, and the situation devolves to him shooting Tom Gillespie. Now shit has officially hit the fan. Thank God Tom Gillespie survives, but that's not the point. The veterans said that you would be safe if you showed up and exercised your right as a citizen to vote, and these guys have now made the veterans a liar.
Really? We'll fix that.
So the 2 veteran poll watchers that were there at the waterworks when Tom was shot, Ed Vastel and Charlie Scott, confront the deputies. They end up arresting them and bringing them into the waterworks and tying them up. Other veterans start showing up, demanding that they...
Oh shit, a citizen's arrest? They just... just arrested the deputy. and just pulled him into the waterworks. Holy shit.
They
Oh my
release the
god.
veteran poll watchers, guns start getting pointed, at which point Ed and Scott decide, you know what? Fuck this, we're gonna free ourselves. They get out of their ropes, Scott throws himself at the glass door, bounces right back off it, hops back up again, throws himself at the glass door again, breaks through, gets all cut up from the glass. Him and Ed run out into the crowd with their hands up, hoping that's enough to not get shot, and disappear into the crowd. Now, obviously, Ed and Scott go back to Otto's tire shop, the GIHQ, and they're hanging out there. So Cantrell sends in 2 deputies to the tire shop, which is full of fucking World War II veterans, to arrest Scott and Ed.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
The veterans
Let's see
immediately
if it
and
pays
promptly
off.
disarm the deputies, beat the fucking shit out of them, tie them up, and throw them on a burn pile. Sheriff's Department, getting curious, doesn't hear from their deputies for a while,
Burn
so
pile not
what do you
active,
do when something
Elfpire.
doesn't work? Double tap, you do it again, right? They send 2 more deputies out to investigate.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Promptly disarmed, get the shit kicked out of them, tied up, thrown on the burn pile with the other 2. Sheriff's Department doesn't hear from those guys for a while. That's fucking weird. Maybe we should send some more sheriffs out there to investigate.
Double it!
So they send a total of 4 deputies now.
Alright, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we should be back. Starlink had a little bit of a hiccup, I guess. Yeah, we're back. Okay, we are back. Okay, good. Let me go ahead and go back just a little bit. No, guys, it was definitely my internet. Okay, well, 22 minutes. I'm guessing it was probably a couple minutes before I noticed that the internet went out, so I'm gonna go back down to 20 minutes. And we're gonna go from 20 minutes and on. Here we go.
Waiting to vote. Lines literally wrapping around the block. This is going to be a record-breaking election. And as soon as the polls open, shit hits the fan immediately. The armed thugs are intimidating everybody. They're only letting people in small groups, so they have control and intimidation. They're not letting anybody stick around to poll watch to make sure things are being done correctly. They're actively rigging the election, and everybody knows it. And then one of the deputies by the name of Wendy Wise decides he's not going to let an elderly black gentleman by the name of Tom Gillespie vote. Tom isn't putting up with it. He's put up with enough shit his whole life. He's a black guy in the 1940s in the South. Like, he's seen some shit. He's not putting up with shit from this deputy. So he's like, no, I'm going to vote. It's my right. He goes to do it, and Wendy Wise proceeds to assault him with brass knuckles, and the situation devolves to him shooting Tom Gillespie. Now shit has officially hit the fan. Thank God Tom Gillespie survives, but that's not the point. The veterans said that you would be safe if you showed up and exercised your right as a citizen to vote, and these guys have now made the veterans a liar.
Really? We'll fix that.
So the 2 veteran poll watchers that were there at the waterworks when Tom was shot, Ed Vastel and Charlie Scott, confront the deputies. They end up arresting them and bringing them into the waterworks and tying them up. Other veterans start showing up, demanding that they release the veteran poll watchers. Guns start getting pointed, at which point Ed and Scott decide, you know what? Fuck this, we're gonna free ourselves. They get out of their ropes. Scott throws himself at the glass door, bounces right back off it, hops back up again, throws himself at the glass door again, breaks through, gets all cut up from the glass. Him and Ed run out into the crowd with their hands up, hoping that's enough to not get shot, and disappear into the crowd. Now, obviously, Ed and Scott go back to Otto's tire shop, the GIHQ, and they're hanging out there. So Cantrell sends in 2 deputies to the tire shop, which is full of fucking World War II veterans, to arrest Scott and Ed.
Oh yeah, that's what I was
It's a
saying.
bold strategy.
So I tried to pause and address that. We are dealing with a lot of serious what's the word? Like topic. We're dealing with like guns, murder, corruption, election fraud, all kinds. Like, we're dealing with a lot of stuff that the auto mod is going to be hyper vigilant on you, probably. This is just my guess. If you're being censored, try to tailor your comments a little bit. Try to bring them back. Put less fang. Put less venom in them. Whatever you're doing, you're bringing up and you're triggering the auto mod. I know that's not my mods doing that.
Cotton, let's see if it pays off for him.
The veterans immediately and promptly disarm the deputies, beat the fucking shit out of them, tie them up, and throw them on a burn pile. Sheriff's Department, getting curious, doesn't hear from their deputies for a while, so what do you do when something doesn't work? Double tap, you do it again, right? They send 2 more deputies out to investigate.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Promptly disarmed,
Oh my God.
get the shit kicked out of them, tied up, thrown on the burn pile with the other 2. Sheriff's Department doesn't hear from those guys for a while.
It's extremely annoying, honestly. You let luck. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna say that this is like a direct, like this meets the standard, but the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled that overly strict moderation of a platform can end up waiving your rights to safe harbor protections via Section 230. This is the shit. Fuck. I'd have to actually remember the name of the court case, but basically, if YouTube is using a program or anything to curate every single comment that's posted on here, that I would say that's over moderation and thus not in line with the standard that Section 230 requires to maintain safe harbor protections. But that's just me.
Oh, that's fucking weird. Maybe we should send some more sheriffs out there to investigate.
Double it!
So they send a total of 4 deputies now out to a building full of World War II veterans in 1946. 3 of them get captured, disarmed, get the shit kicked out of them, and thrown on the burn pile, and 1 of them gets away. Cutting over to Otto Kennedy, he's been out of town all day trying to get the federal government or the state government to intervene to fix this situation. He shows back up to his tire shop. He sees 7 deputies tied up on a burn pile, and he's like, what the fuck is happening? The veterans explain everything, and he's like,
someone would have to bring in an action against them. It would be, it's possible, it's not likely. I'm just saying that curating every piece of content that is posted, which is pretty much done. We know for a fact that YouTube has an auto mod fucking thing going on, and even videos can be taken down automatically. If you are curating and moderating every single piece of content, which is not reasonable, you could technically lose safe harbor protections. Let me actually here, let me show you. Just real quick, sorry, I am very interested. The veterans have now captured several deputies. They're taking back their county. But okay, here we go. 9 seconds holds. 1 second is okay, here we go. It was back in 2017. Let me do this. Earlier this month, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals held that the online provider may, an online provider, I'm not sure which provider this is. An online provider may become ineligible for the safe harbor provided by Section 512C of the Zero Millennium Copyright Act, which is part of, also Section 230. If its moderators help select content submitted by users. If its moderators help select content submitted by users for a game. So basically, it means that it's possible, especially if somebody decides to take action and make an argument in favor of that. Now, God, would it be a fucking crapshoot? Would it probably never happen? Absolutely. But I'm just saying that over moderation does have a price, and that price could be a waive of your safe harbor protection. In my experience, large corporations constantly break laws but get away with it because people are too afraid to act against them. For real. Yeah, absolutely. Alright, let's get this back up.
It's like, nope, I'm fucking out. I didn't see anything. I don't know shit. I'm going home. You guys do whatever. The veterans then walk outside, basically onto Main Street in Athens. There's people all over the place, hundreds of people from McMinn County all around watching these events unfold. And they're just like, hey, who's got a couple of cars we could borrow?
Please post a link to that site. Okay. Hold on, let's see here. Remember, that's just an article. That's not the actual ruling. So if you want, oh, sit. I flew out of him. Hold on. Here we go. DYT.com. Now again, you would need to hunt down the actual ruling and do your due diligence, make sure things are proper. But that is the article that I just referenced. So anyway, let us continue here.
And these people are like, you know, they're on the GI's side, so people volunteer to let them take their cars. They then proceed to load these 7 deputies up into these cars, drive them out into the forest, strip them butt-ass naked, tie them to trees, whip them with hickory sticks, and then head back to the tire shop. 7 down, 243 to go.
I'm sorry.
And while that was going on at a different polling location, the deputies had arrested 2 veteran poll watchers, Bob Harold and Tom Dooley, because they confronted the deputies for letting people vote that didn't have poll tax receipts and even letting small children vote. They promptly beat up both the veterans and took them to jail. At this point, shit has completely hit the fan. There's journalists there with cameras. The deputies are arresting journalists. They're confiscating cameras. They're destroying film. They are in full cover-up mode to rig this election. From here, the deputies illegally closed the polls early. Then they refuse to let anybody examine any of the ballots in the ballot boxes. They come out with a bunch of men with shotguns and high-powered rifles, and they take the ballot boxes into the jail, and they're not going to let anybody watch the count. And at this point, there's the aura of failure everywhere. They failed. They're going to go in there. They're going to count. They're going to mess up the count. They're going to rig the count. They're going to rig this election again. The veterans failed after they guaranteed votes would be counted as cast, and there's nothing they can do about it. So the veterans go back to the tire shop. They go back to HQ, and they sit there and they wait. They just have to wait for the count to come out. They know what the results are going to be, but they wait. The townspeople are out on Main Street in Athens. They're waiting too, and it's just quiet. It's ominous. They lost. And then finally, Bob White stands up, the one from earlier, the Marine that fought in Tarawa and Guadalcanal. He's got a Purple Heart from being shot through the hip in combat. He is a jungle warfare instructor in the United States Marine Corps, and he's had enough of this shit. He stands up and delivers an impromptu speech, and I'm paraphrasing, but in essence, he essentially says, you all went overseas for 4 or 5 years of your lives and fought tyranny across an ocean, and now you're all just gonna sit here in silence and live in tyranny in your own home. We're not going to put up with this shit. Go home, get your guns, and meet back here. The veterans get up, they go home, they come back with their guns. It's not much. They've got some hunting shotguns, hunting rifles, pistols, not nearly enough to confront the 55 armed deputies inside of that jail in a fortified fighting position. At which point, Bob decides, we're going to need some more firepower. From here, they get up and they head over to the National Guard Armory. There's one guy from the National Guard there holding down the fort. They show up with guns and they're like, fork over the keys. He's more than happy to do it, gives them the keys. They go in, open up the armory, take a bunch of rifles, Tommy guns, pistols, ammo, everything they want. From here, the accounts vary widely on how many armed veterans were there. Bob White said he had about 60 men under his command, but there's some people saying that there was hundreds. There's even a couple accounts saying that there was as many as 2,000 armed veterans. I think that that person was thinking the overall crowd in general, because the whole town is there watching. From here, the deputies go out, they completely surround the jail. The sun's going down, so they shoot out all the street lights so that the deputies aren't going to be able to see where they're at. Then they get keys to all the surrounding buildings, and the people of the town are willingly just giving them the keys because, like, they're overthrowing the corrupt government. Why wouldn't you help? The veterans are up on top of roofs, they're in windows, they're in all the buildings surrounding this jail. They have the entire thing on lockdown. Now, by this point, the deputies know something's up. Some of them are outside in front of the jail. They're completely surrounded by armed veterans. There's fucking 1,000 civilians watching.
Yeah. Okay, GP Ravenfire, absolutely accurate. Now it's the cult alarms.
In the background, at which point one of the veterans chimes in and is like, bring the ballot boxes out. We're going to count them all right here, right now. We're going to see who won this election. To which the deputies respond, you're going to have to come get them.
Come and get them!
At which point the veterans respond, all right, And all you hear is safeties on guns click off as all the deputies hear that. They run and dive for
Holy
cover,
shit. Oh
and
my
the
God.
veterans open fire on the jail. Some of the deputies get hit. They're hiding behind cars, limping for cover. The rest of the deputies run inside the jail and take cover. They start returning fire. All the civilians are scattering in the background, not really leaving the scene. They're trying to find somewhere safe because they also want to watch this shit unfold, and it's just chaos. From here, a pretty intense firefight ensues, but the jail's basically impenetrable. It's made out of brick. All the veterans are behind covers. Not a lot of people are getting hit, but some people are getting hit by ricochets, birdshot, other things like that. As this firefight unfolds, the townspeople kind of get acclimated to being in a firefight, I guess, and get a little bit more brazen and start watching a little bit closer. Some of them take it upon themselves to go and vandalize all of the cop cars and overturn them. Veterans are flipping cars for more cover. It's just a complete shit show. After a while, the initial firefight dies down and it just kind of devolves into a standoff where they're taking pop shots at each other back and forth. Inside the jail, Cantrell and Mansfield are shitting their pants. They're on the phone. They're calling up the National Guard.
Oh yeah,
the
they're
National
probably losing
Guard's
their
getting ready to
goddamn mind.
mobilize. They call the sheriff of Polk County asking for backup. He promptly responds, "What are you, fucking crazy? No, get out of here. You did this to yourself. I'm not gonna go fight a bunch of World War II veterans. No." So Mansfield calls Otto Kennedy. Kennedy picks up the phone, and Mansfield, still trying to sound tough, is like, "Otto, your boys are down here shooting up the jail. You need to come get them or we're gonna take care of them." To which Otto responds, "All right, go get them." Hangs up.
He just hung up on me mid-sentence.
One of the veterans ends up finding out that the National Guard got called and they're going to mobilize, so he notifies the ringleader, Bob White, and Bob White is like, "All right, first things first, we're going to go cut the phone line to the jail so they can't do that shit again. Also, don't tell anybody else. It's going to take hours for him to get here. I don't need you making everybody scared. Keep that shit under wraps." From here, Bob's kind of like, okay, well, National Guard's going to show up eventually. We should probably hurry this shit up. We should have a couple of hours. Let's go get some gasoline and some glass bottles and make us some Molotov cocktails, see if we can't convince them to leave the jail. So the veterans make Molotov cocktails, throw them at the jail. It's a brick building, not very effective. Fire burns out, not a big deal. At which point, one of the veterans is like, "I work for the county and we got dynamite in the county shed. You want me to go get it?" Fuck yeah, I do. While they're going to get the dynamite, they go and start rendering aid to some of the deputies that have been shot. I mean, they've been laying there for a couple hours moaning and groaning at this point. One of the veterans actually gives a direct blood transfusion to the deputy, despite the fact that he's, you know, the enemy. It's not really his enemy. He's just doing what he has to do. And I think this is a cool part of the story where it's like, the veterans didn't want to do this. They were driven to do this. They want to cause as little damage as possible, and they're still caring about their enemy. Around the same point in time, an ambulance pulls up to start rendering aid. The veterans are thinking, okay, they've got some, you know, injured people inside the building or whatever. We're going to let them get their injured out because, you know, we're trying to do the right thing. We're good guys. And sure enough, Paul Cantrell and Mansfield take the opportunity to slip inside the ambulance and make a clean getaway, leaving all their henchmen behind. Nobody really realizes that at the time. The ambulance takes off. The dynamite shows up. They then proceed to blow up Mansfield's car. The crowd erupts in cheer. They love this shit. At which point the veterans yell into the jail like, "Come out or we're gonna start blowing this shit up." They respond with a couple of pop shots. Cool. Band 3 sticks of dynamite together, throw it onto the porch, blow the entire porch off the jail. After the smoke from that settles, the GIs yell in. The next one's coming through the window, at which point the deputies, you know, the boss has already fled. What the fuck am I doing here? They're like, "Okay, stop shooting. We'll come out." The GIs are like, "Cool, come out with your hands up. We're all good." The deputies all file out with their hands in the air, begging not to get shot, at which point some of the GIs are like, you know, maybe we should shoot them. And the crowd is like, fucking shoot them. The rest of the GIs are like, "No, we're not fucking murdering people. Knock it off." So nobody ends up getting shot. Cantrell and Mansfield are missing. They refused to tell him where the hell they went. They found out later that he escaped in the ambulance.
God damn it!
Now at this point, you gotta remember, there's 2,000 civilians that have been getting the shit kicked out of them for the past 10 years by these deputies and being extorted, and the crowd kind of, you know, moves in and has their chance to return the favor, which they absolutely do. And Wendy Wise, the man that shot the elderly black gentleman earlier, got a special amount of attention.
The payback's a motherfucker, ain't it?
He did end up surviving, and he later said that there was
did not arouse the friendlier instincts of the crowd. When the other deputies were released, he alone was how to answer charges. Yeah, because he's a motherfucker who shot a guy who was trying to vote. Like, oh my god, like, fuck this guy. Yeah, he had the crowd. Yeah, I was like, oh man, the crowd's gonna fucking have a fucking field day with these guys.
The payback's a motherfucker, ain't it?
He did end up surviving, and he later said that there was no hard feelings.
Why would I have hard feelings? I'm still picking pieces of your ass out of my boot. Good one.
So while that's going on, the veterans go inside the jail. They find a metric fuck ton of ballots that were pre-marked for Paul Cantrell. They find the real ballots. They take the real ballots out. They pick trustworthy people. They have them go count them. Then they continue searching the rest of the jail. They go back to where the actual jail cells are. There's 3 veterans in there. They break them out. And then there's 2 other people. One guy that got picked up the night before for being too drunk, and another guy that was in there for burglary, that have apparently just been having the worst time of their fucking lives. They had no idea what was going on the entire time.
Stop blowing holes in my shit!
So now the ballots are getting counted. They take all the deputies back into the jail, throw their asses in jail cells, and wait for the ballots to get counted. The results come in, the real results, and every GI won in a fucking landslide. From here, the crowd goes fucking nuts. It's a huge celebration. Everybody's happy. They've finally overthrown the corrupt government. The day is saved. After that, settles down a little bit, a lawyer chimes in and is like, okay, we can't fucking talk about any of this shit, by the way.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about, Phil. Not a fucking clue.
At this point, everybody's like,
I do love how there's a lawyer there. He's just like, by the way, no one can fucking say anything. That's such like a lawyer. Like, you need to respect, just sit. By the way, nobody fucking say a goddamn word. Like, yes, justice prevailed today, but don't let anybody know about it.
Well, yeah, good idea. So, not knowing what to do with, the 55 deputies that they had inside of a jail cell, they just kind of like took the ones that were messed up to the hospital, let the rest of them go, get the fuck out of our town. All of them, except for Wendy Wise, they kept him in jail, told him they were going to send him to prison as long as they possibly could. And while this is going on, Mansfield and Cantrell end up convincing the mortician in town to smuggle them out of town inside of a hearse, which is symbolic to say the least. Now at this point, it dawns on everybody, the work's not done yet. The National Guard still might be coming. We got to get ready. The whole town is on their side.
Yeah,
like, they don't want the National Guard coming in here overturning what they deem as a just election. They've all got guns, and they're like game to go to war with the National Guard to defend their right to vote. It's fucking...
Guys. Yeah. That's so fucking American. You've already won. You're like, dude, I'm fucking ready to keep going. The fucking freedom. Oh man, fucking absolutely
crazy.
bait.
Felix Harold takes off, gets in his Piper Cub plane. He's circling the town, conducting aerial reconnaissance, looking at all the roads into Athens and the county as a whole. And he's like, there's no major formations coming near us at all. There's not a single car on the road right now.
Oh,
I think
cool.
we're good. The
Guard
governor had already called off the National Guard, but they don't know that yet. They literally have patrols going around town of armed veterans and armed civilians getting ready to throw down for anybody that wants to overturn this election. And this goes on for days, almost a week. The veterans ended up getting word that a neighboring sheriff's department from a neighboring county was going to send troops in here to do something about it. They're like, fuck it, let's grab a bunch of guys, load them in some trucks, and we'll just drive to their sheriff's department and ask them what's up. Bunch of armed veterans show up, like 50 of them outside of the sheriff's department. It was like, hey, we heard you wanted to do something about our election. And the sheriff is like, nope.
No. That's not what I said.
And the veterans are like, okay, great, cool, wonderful. They head back to Athens peacefully. Everything's going fine. Sure enough, U.S. Marshals show up, the feds, they start asking questions. Nobody in town says a fucking thing about anything.
Oh, nah, I ain't seen nothing. I ain't seen nothing. Matter of fact, I'm blind in my left eye. I can't even see you, sir.
The U.S. Marshals don't know what to do. Like, obviously shit went down here, but nobody's talking. They've got to figure out what the hell happened and what they're going to do about it. And then they get an idea. They're like, hey, they got the guns from somewhere. They had to have gotten all those guns from the National Guard Armory. We're going to go check there. So they show up to the National Guard Armory. Every single gun is there and accounted for. And the National Guard Armory Sergeant is like,
I don't know shit
about fuck.
At which point the U.S. Marshals are like, okay, these guys they're fucking thorough, I'll give them that. What about the ammunition? They expend ammunition. We know that you keep a running tally of that shit. is all the
Oh, no.
ammunition here. To which the National Guard guy is like, no, actually we don't. You see, that's expendable. We don't really keep track of that shit here. It's, you know, it's very complicated and nuanced. But no, I don't have that information either. Sorry. Anyways, have a nice day. The U.S. Marshals are like, I have no fucking idea what to do. I have nothing to go off. So they just kind of fuck off. And then Judge Sue Hicks orders an investigation into every possible crime committed by everybody. The investigation yields absolutely nothing. He even gets the National Guard to conduct an internal investigation as to whether or not the weapons at the armory were used. And the National Guard is like, nope, definitely not used at all. Ultimately, the governor ends up stepping in and is like, okay, we're done with this. We're moving on. The GIs that won their elected post. Nobody ended up dying. There were no fatalities, just a ton of injuries over this entire thing. We're moving on. The only person that got convicted of anything was Deputy Wendy Wise, who shot Tom Gillespie, and he got sent to prison for 3 years. And now with the new veteran Sheriff Knox, he announced that he was going to be conducting an investigation into all of the other political officials inside the town of Athens and McMinn County to make sure that they won their elections fairly, at which point all 28 remaining public officials in the county and the town of Athens promptly resigned.
You're all fired.
No way.
From here, the new sheriff's department immediately restored order to the county, with their first 3 arrests actually being veterans that had broken the law in a true demonstration of, we are not going to be another machine, we're not going to be another corrupt government, we're going to do the right thing. If you do the crime, you're going to do the time. And that's that. In addition to that, they immediately went out and put an end to all the illegal gambling and alcohol rings that had been funding the previous political machine. And that's it. Order had officially been restored to Athens. Everybody lives happily ever after. Hooray. But then word got out to the rest of Tennessee what had happened. And you remember, machine politics are going on all over the state. And as word got out with you started to see more veterans organizations mobilizing and doing similar things. There were some altercations, nothing to the scale of the Battle of Athens, because, well, nobody wanted to find out because they knew what would happen. They all watched the Battle of Athens occur. And over the course of the coming years, by the early 1950s, the Crump political machine had effectively been completely dismantled, because now they knew if you fuck around too hard, somebody might make you find out.
Absolutely based.
This entire story is just the embodiment of, if we all break the rules together, they can't get all of us in trouble, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I agree. That was absolutely great. That was a good fucking story. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, as always, make sure to, why am I not subscribed to him? How am I not subscribed to the federal electrician? I know I subscribed to him here. What the that's concerning, because I know for a fact that I have been subscribed to the federal electrician for a hot minute. Anyway, check and make sure you're subscribed to him still. That was fucking weird. Anyways, we're going to choose a... Okay, calm down. Okay, we're gonna... Yeah.
You published there?
Oh, Jesus. So we have something.
Let me get your badge number.
No, calm down. Oh, yeah, actually, this is good little palate cleanser as we get into more like a Lawtube tape. As we get into more like a Lawtube situation, we're gonna go ahead and, I'm like, honestly, you should subscribe to this guy. Big time, look at this. Cop sucker punches guy and plays a victim, lawyer reacts. Lawyer explains stuff. He only has 2.17k subscribers. He has less subscribers than me. But this video has 1.7 million views. This dude needs so many more subscribers than what he's getting. Please, go to lawyer, explain stuff, go to his stuff. We're gonna see what this video is. I imagine it's pretty good. It was posted July 9th, so well within my algorithmic hold that I keep. But let's go ahead and check this out.
Let me get your badge number.
Did he just... What the fuck? I'm sorry, what?
Let me get your badge number. You want to get arrested? You're going to get arrested for assault on a civilian.
Okay, this video is pretty ridiculous, so let's get into it.
Now,
Yeah,
a Fox
oh my
61
God.
exclusive. A Meriden police officer is charged with assault after a violent road rage incident caught on camera.
December 8th, 2023, 37-year-old Thomas Brocuglio was driving his company vehicle with the dash camera on as he approached a red light.
What are we doing? Kid. What are you doing?
Actually, if you go to the description of this video, you can see I link the video and I link the channel in the description below.
The truck he was honking at was being driven by 57-year-old off-duty Meriden Police Corporal Alan Ganter.
Wait off.
Oh no.
That's when
I mean,
Ganter
okay, yeah,
got out
he's
of his
road
truck,
raging the limp.
flashed his badge, and approached Brocuglio.
Oh, that was barely a fly. You fucking, I don't know what that was. I'm sorry, that was slashing his badge. Can we take that back? Look at this.
Out of his truck, flashed
Damn, what, I
his
mean,
badge.
okay. But right down, haha, that's too fat. This, fuck you, dude. Dude, absolutely fuck. Like, I have no idea who you are, what you're about. This is such a fucking, oh my
and
God.
approached Brocuglio.
Right on red. Really? Where does it say that? It says stop here on red.
Corporal Ganter began taking pictures of Brocuglio's license plates. Brocuglio accused Ganter of being on his phone as the confrontation escalated.
I saw you looking down doing everything else. No, I was moving something in my bag.
Ganter then threatens to give Brocuglio a ticket and call his supervisor.
Sure, sounds good.
What?
Really?
Give him a ticket? Are you kidding me?
Let me get your badge number.
I agree with the law. He paused. He's like, give him a ticket. What? Yeah. Like, no, there's that. That's not gonna happen. Hold on, let's see. You gotta be kidding me. Okay. How are you gonna give a ticket when you're in your civvies?
Number.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
You want to get arrested? You're going to get arrested for assault on a civilian.
Ganter drove away.
Are you kidding me? Sucker punches the guy in the face. You want to get arrested?
Yeah, what? Stop. So good.
Let me get your badge number.
I'm glad he's also laughing about it. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on.
Ticket and call
Right
his
here.
supervisor.
I saw you looking down doing everything else. No, I was moving something in my bag.
Ganter then threatens to give Brocuglio a ticket and call his supervisor.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah,
What?
okay,
Give
okay.
him-
I want everyone, like, hey, somebody just said something. The dog saw it coming. Dead to go. Absolutely. The dog did see the dog said, yeah, good on all of you. The dog
A ticket?
saw what
Are
was
you
about
kidding
to
me?
happen.
Let me get your badge number. You want to get arrested? You're going to get arrested for assault on a civilian.
Ganter drove away.
Are you kidding me? Sucker punches the guy in the face. You want to get arrested? What?
As Brocuglio placed a call to Rocky Hill Police.
Rocky Hill 911, yeah, service emergency.
Yeah, I was just assaulted by a police officer who punched me in the face through my window.
Rocky Hill Police responded and generated this incident report, saying the punch left Brocuglio dazed and possibly concussed. Rocky Hill Police made contact with Ganter at his residence. The interaction on body camera.
Is he pressing charges against me? Like for breach?
Yes.
Because I yelled at him and stuff?
For assault, because you hit him.
He's saying that I hit him.
He's saying that I didn't, dude. He's got a fucking dash cam. Look, I'm gonna tell anybody right now, like, the best investment that you could ever have is a dash cam. One that shows the front and one that shows your face in the interior of the cab. The best investment for your insurance, for your rights being protected when shit like this happens, doesn't matter. A dash cam. Absolutely invest in a dash cam.
And he has video that you hit him.
Then
What? So he's like, oh, is he gonna press charges against me? It's like, because I was yelling at him, and the cop's like, oh no, yeah, it's for assault. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Assault? Who did I assault? It's like, yeah, he's got it on video. Imagine if this wasn't on video. Like, this is just ridiculous. Just own up to it, dude. Or at least don't lie about it.
Ganter asks officers if he can charge Brocuglio.
And there's nothing where I can press for breach of peace for him yelling. I mean,
I also.
Can I sue him? No, dude. You fucking punched him in the. Oh my god. This guy is a fucking. No. No. This guy is a fucking school officer for a middle school? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, I'm gonna fight him. I'm gonna fight this guy in Minecraft. Oh my god. You gotta be fucking, you are a school officer for a middle school and you're doing this, Zach. God, I feel so bad for those children. Holy shit.
I also find this hilarious that the cop wanted to press charges against the guy he punched for breach of peace. And then one of the charges that the cop ends up getting is breach of peace. Poetic justice.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, like, is he mad at me for, like, yelling at him? It's like, well, no, you punched him in the face. He's like, oh,
yeah.
Could I press charges against him? Like, can we do something against him? Like, are you kidding me? The mindset of this guy.
It sent Fox 61 a statement saying an internal affairs investigation determined Ganter did violate the Meriden Police Department's rules of conduct.
Yeah, no shit.
Really? You think?
As a result, was suspended for 5 days without pay and will be required to attend de-escalation training.
Okay, this is just ridiculous. It would be one thing if he punches him in the face, and then after the fact, he was like, oh, you know what? It was the heat of the moment. It was just road rage. Now that I've calmed down, I realize the error of my ways.
Wait a minute. Suspended for 5 days without pay, and he will be required to attend mandatory de-escalation training. No, I'm sorry. This should be a fireable offense. This should end in this officer's terminate. Am I wrong? Like, maybe I'm being too harsh. But I believe that if you, especially as a cop in your civvies, do that quick down low fucking slash of your badge and then punch a civilian in your face, you want to be arrested and then drive off from the, I mean, you want to talk about the things that he could have been charged with? Yeah, he got off easy. He got off way too easy in my opinion.
And I apologize for it, you know, and own up to it. But instead, he has to get told, hey, it's on video before he's like, oh yeah, maybe I did punch this guy in the face. And he wants to press charges against the person that he hit. So in this situation...
Yeah, this is not indicative of any kind of like remorse or regret. He's sorry that he got caught. That's it. Which means that, like, I mean, to me, I feel like the law should have been a lot more heavy against this police officer, especially because of his conduct and how he was found out and discovered. No, dude, it was on video. Well, can I charge him? No, you fucking punched him in the face, dude.
5 days of suspension and de-escalation training are ridiculous. He should be fired. If he has that sort of temperament and he can't even calm down after the fact, and
especially because he is a school officer. He's dispatched to be the on-site officer for a middle school. And I'm sorry, if he has this lack of control, I don't want this guy anywhere near children in an authoritative capacity.
You know, the situation's cooled down a little bit. He clearly does not have the temperament to stay on the police force. And if this was any other job and you punch somebody in the face, you'd be fired right away. But for some reason, when police officers do this, and they're in a position where they have power and authority, and to exercise that power over individuals and deprive them of liberty, and when they do something like that, oh, it's just a little suspension, slap on the wrist. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Again, it would be one thing if he owned up to it after the fact and calmed down and apologized, but he didn't even do that. So clearly, he does not have what it takes to be a police officer. And one of the biggest problems with policing in the United States is there's a lot of police officers who just do not have thick skin. if you're going to be a police officer,
Yeah.
you need to have thick skin. You need to just calm down. I understand there's incredibly stressful situations and things get heated, but if you can't even in a situation like this act calm, you do not have the thick skin. You do not have the temperament to be a police officer, and he shouldn't have been hired in the first place. And my guess is something like this could easily happen again, because clearly there's something wrong with him mentally.
For 3 consecutive years.
And also, you could probably thank the police unions for that. They protect bad cops, which is ridiculous as well. Again, this guy gives a horrible name to all the good police officers who are out there, but he does not belong on the job, and there needs to be much better psychological screening for people like this. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes my blood boil.
Mine too. Good ending. Okay, so there we go. Now we're more into Lawtube stuff, you know. We have a few more videos to be reacting to. Whoa, okay, hey, calm down. Okay, this is, I think... Yeah, I think we're gonna not react to that one. But we're gonna react to this one, and we're gonna react to this one. So you know them, you love them. Yeah, you recognize them by that amazing corny intro. It's our boy, Legal Mindset. What the fuck, it didn't click play, that's just rude.
Cringe kick nuisance streamer Baby Hayes has been knocked out in Japan. And now, while many of you have seen that video, we've got a little bit of context, background on that, as well as some thoughts on what Japan needs to start doing ASAP to crack down on these streamers and make sure that these incidents don't happen, because really they shouldn't be happening in the first place. Once again, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this legal mindset will teach you to be your own judge. And Baby Hayes is a kick nuisance streamer that is no stranger to our channel. In fact, back in Thailand, we covered him when he was harassing people at bars and restaurants and being rude to people at 7-Eleven, you know, all sorts of issues that this guy was creating in Thailand. In fact, he was so afraid of our coverage in Thailand when our channel covered him that he indeed went silent and fled to Japan. Well, I hate to break it to you, Japan does not solve all your problems, and you cannot get away with anything in Japan, and that's something that he found out. So let's check in, and we'll start with the ending of our story, and then work back to what happened and how it came to be. But let's check in with Baby Hayes here and see how Japan worked out for him.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Why did you assault? Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me the fuck alone.
Oh my god!
So gets knocked out there.
Holy shit! I mean, guys, that was so fucking. Oh my god! And you know what? Here's the thing. He was asked several times. To actually like yeah, you know, this is a good one. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna watch it again. But I think that was what, 2 or 3 times. He's like, hey, back off. And then what happened? Now, here's the thing. You giving a firm warning like that when your personal space is being violated in such a way? I know in America, there's several arguments that can be made for self-defense and stuff like that, because you don't know what this guy's going to do. A reasonable person might infer that their life is being threatened when all of a sudden this guy's up in my face with a camera and fucking antagonizing me. I don't know what his plan is. Y'all enjoying the stream from Baby Hayes and Abby. But I would say that giving those fair warnings that, dude, you gotta get out of my face, you gotta get and then, okay, you have it, and now you're on the ground. Well, whose fault is that? I've given you fair warning. You're clearly the aggressor here. I don't know what your intentions are. So with those in mind, let's go ahead and look at this one more time.
Japan worked out for him.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me
Why
alone.
did you assault
Leave me
my
the
friend?
fuck alone. Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me the fuck alone.
So get.
I know I should laugh.
So gets knocked out there. Okay.
Okay, is that his phone? Oh my god, he took his phone. Oh my god,
And then a random Japanese old man, this guy, picks up his phone and proceeds to walk away with it while it's still streaming. Absolutely,
oh God,
absolute cinema. You can't make this stuff up. But it looks, it looks bad in a vacuum, and it certainly might even look sympathetic for Baby Hayes if you're just seeing this and thinking, oh, well, it looks like he was just kind of cold-cocked out of nowhere, and, Baby Hayes, what an innocent fellow. Well, first of all, Baby...
Like, here's the thing. Like, we counted that. That was actually way more than 2 or 3 times. He said it, like, quickly a few times with, like, a short break in between. Leave me alone, leave me alone. Leave me alone, leave me the fuck alone. Leave me the fuck alone, leave me. And then he attacked. So he really actually said, leave me alone 5 times before he actually took action against Baby Hayes. So I would argue that that's well within the line of, look, you were given fair warning. You're behaving in an erratic, threatening manner. I don't know what your intentions are. Now, the old guy just picking up the stream at the end and walking away, that's just fucking funny. That's just funny. But at least in regards to whoever punched Baby Hayes, I think he honestly has a pretty good defense here.
Baby Hayes is anything but an innocent fellow. And I can show you this clip, and this is a clip that maybe live viewers of my channel are familiar with. But this one here is Baby Hayes talking about what his preferences are for morality. So let's check in with Baby Hayes here.
Chuck just tipped $2. Oh, here we go again. Fat boy fucking scamming from the chat again. This guy is so full of fucking shit. Scammer.
Well, you just lost your $2 because I'm getting this soju, and I can see that X and Jason, you gave me fucking soju, so I'm not a scammer. Like, chat, the last thing I am is literally... But shut the fuck up, right? Shut the fuck up. I'm not a scammer, first of all. I'll rather be a fucking rapist than a scammer.
Let's rewind that just like a little bit and see and just play that back one more time. What'd you say there, Baby Hayes?
I'll rather be a fucking rapist than a scammer.
All right. So that's Baby Hayes. So now you've got a nice intro to Baby Hayes in case you didn't know who this guy is, what he is. That's a good baseline. And one thing you have to know about Baby Hayes is he generally engages in belligerent behavior.
Look at this aura farming. I'm like, when if I'm the final boss, but I'm too adorable. Okay.
So before that, prior to that, there's in fact a lot of belligerent behavior with himself and other kick streamers. So if you check out this, and this is also posted, if you want to look on my X, you can check this out. But he had this interaction with Harry Boy, another kick streamer.
Fuck you up. Did you just fucking hit me? You don't hit me again. Like you threw a fucking beer at me. You just fucking hit me. What
just happened there?
So you've got him scuffling, you've got him fighting, you've got him having a negative interaction. Once again, this is peak kick streaming here. And you can see them here afterwards.
Come on, Kick.
No, that dude is fucking insulting.
Like, look. I know that Kick doesn't need to like Kick doesn't get their money from like advertiser revenue or anything, right? They're a gambling website. They're funded by a casino site. So I get it. But like this kind of shit, honestly, it's not a good look just for general branding. Like, it makes me not... Now, I still stream on Kick on Tuesdays, and when I do, like, watch-alongs and stuff like that, stuff that Twitch or YouTube won't allow, but the stuff that I don't believe is, like, big violations or anything like that. But But this IRL streaming stuff is just, I've never seen a good, wholesome IRL streamer. Maybe they're out there, but I've never seen this. You know, I've never seen like where like someone's just like having a good time and shit doesn't hit the fan in some way.
People hold the other guy back and keep from going on. Now, by the way, I don't think violence should ever be celebrated or whatever, should be something that is encouraged, but it's something that commonly in these circles, as we observe and watch these nuisance streamers, happens over and over and over again in these patterns where they'll come and engage with each other, or they'll consider themselves, you know, having a certain turf, a certain area, a certain niche, and they'll come and interact with them in a negative way if they're perceived as stepping on their niche or their turf, etc. This stuff is happening time and time again, and many of these folks here, well, they're not long-term residents of these countries. A big confusion, and this is something that is a wild confusion, is that these people live in Japan, or these people are long-time residents of Japan. They are not. These are all tourists. These are people that generally, like Baby Hayes, stop in for a couple of days, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even a month, and then they leave. They go back to their home country. They don't have to pass a background check. They don't have to do anything else. They don't have to have money or skin in the game. They don't have to really learn the culture or the language. They just come there to really make a nuisance of themselves for clout, money, exposure, etc. And sometimes occasionally to get knocked out and to actually pee yourself, because ultimately that is what happened with Babyface, where he ultimately did wet himself after being knocked out ultimately at the end of that night. So
oh,
these people could be stopped. And how do you stop them? Well, you make a list of the streamers, you compile them, and when they're coming into Japan, you make it very clear, hey, if you stream here, you're going to be booted. You look to see whether they went live. If they went live, you boot them out. You don't let them back in the country again. Very, very, very simple solution. And I think that's really what's got to happen with these kick streamers, and all nuisance streamers are people that are causing problems while abroad. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you guys heard of Baby Hayes before, but maybe on my previous videos? And what do you think about nuisance streamers and nuisance streamers in Japan? I'm excited to hear about it. Until next time.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
Oh, there you go. Oh my god, wait. There it is. Oh my god, it's fucking great. Okay, just gonna try to autoplay. No, yeah, it did. Oh no, legal blinds, just calm down. He's trying to pull me in, guys. Okay, so we have a final video here. It's about 30 minutes long. Jesus. This one's gonna be a good one. So, just understand that this topic should not be political. The fact that it's being made political is disgusting, and I hope we can all at least agree with that. That being said, let's tune in to my buddy Nate the Lawyer. Breaking from now claim Epstein files exist. This is going to end badly. So, this is basically, if you guys remember my last Elfpire Reacts, I actually read out the DOJ and FBI memo to you guys. Now, the DOJ and FBI claimed that Epstein did kill himself and that there's no evidence that he actively blackmailed or kept any kind of client list. Now, recently, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, Trump posted on Twitter like a madman and said, oh, there is a client list, but it was written by Obama and the Clintons, and it's not credible, so we're not going to release it. Well, now we have a problem. And now it's looking like, especially with some of Trump's recent statements and an unedited Fox interview from a few months ago, before he was elected president. I love my Oshi. Please take my money. Oh, thank you, Cerdano. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you some, let me get this. There we go. Thank you so much. But here we go. Well, here's the thing. If there's no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein worked with other people or kept any kind of client list or actively blackmailed anybody, then why is just seeing Maxwell in jail right now? Because last I checked, she was convicted and sentenced to 20 years for trafficking minors to Jeffrey Epstein. Is that not blaring evidence that Epstein was collaborating with other individuals to do this, you legitimately believe that we have to, that you think that we would believe that Epstein somehow worked alone. There's apparently like well over close to 1,000 victims that he was personally involved with hurting in some way or traumatizing in some way, and you're telling me he did it alone. Well, okay. Let's see what Nate the lawyer has to say about this. Again, another lawyer. And here's the thing, I could have reacted to Asmongold, I could have reacted to Charlie, I could have reacted to Mudahar. There's a lot of people who have been reacting to this DOJ FBI memo thing, and then Trump's very bizarre behavior, his response to trying to like condemn and discourage people asking questions. Why are we still asking questions about this Epstein guy? Well, because you've made a bunch of questions. But I could have done any of those, but I waited until a Lawtuber actually came out with information on it, simply because that's kind of the niche that we look at things in. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and let Nate the lawyer take it over.
All right, this breaking news. Sources tell CNN that Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino has told people that he's considering resigning amid a major clash between the FBI and DOJ over the continued fallout from the release, or lack thereof, of the Jeffrey Epstein memo.
Flashback.
I'm fine with all the other lists. As long as I'm not on the Epstein list, we're good, right? Speaking of which, how is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks? It's almost like they're trying to protect
Trump's son
for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
A few moments later.
First, to back up on that, in February.
Now, here's the thing. Remember what I said. Because we can go back, and I'm sure it could be clipped. Like, I'm sure somebody could actually bring it up and clip it. But I said that Pam Bondi here, she's an attorney. She knows that words are incredibly important. Phrasing is incredibly important. You were asked by Fox News, the Epstein list might be released soon. What do you say to that? It's on my desk awaiting review. What the fuck did that mean? I told you guys. I said she's going to try to walk back that comment. But her as an attorney, as somebody who knows how important words are and phrasing is, this isn't going to work and it's not going to fly for me. I said that to you guys, and here she is doing exactly what I said she is going to try to do. And I'm telling you then, and I told you now, I'm not buying it, Pam Bondi. You fucked up.
I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well.
A few moments later.
And now to another big story. The president is defending U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Her and FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino are reportedly at odds over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein file.
So President Trump has acknowledged that the Epstein files exist here. President Trump has acknowledged that the files were written and that there is something there.
Yeah, here's the problem with something like this, right? This tweet. What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA. I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. But who's been saying it's Epstein over and over again for these last 2 years? It's been Republicans. It's been some Democrats too, but it's been mostly Republican. And I understand why. Because if there are people who are on the left who has names on that list, I definitely want them exposed. But similarly, if there are people in positions of power that are on the right that are also in those files and on that list, I want them held responsible too. So any Republican who's trying to draw a party line here is fucking feeding you a load of bullshit. I'm telling you that right now. So let's just continue.
He says that they were written, however, by his enemies and therefore will not be released.
What's up, Nate? Keep that.
This is not an opinion. This is a fact. I have seen. Remember, I was accused falsely, and they have seen. And ultimately, I was completely cleared. The woman admitted that she may have mistook me for somebody else and withdrew all of her lawsuits. And so from day one, from the day I was accused, I said I want every document out because I knew every document would prove I was innocent. So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being...
So this is Jeffrey Epstein's ex-attorney before he died. And again, like he said, he was accused of being involved with this ring. And in court, he was basically exonerated. His accuser withdrew all the claims against him and stuff. But he has, since that point, always been, release everything you have. It's going to exonerate people who need to be exonerated. And it's going to condemn the people who need to be condemned. We know this is a fact. But right now, it's being suppressed by the courts or otherwise being like, he can't talk about it, it's attorney-client privilege. Even with Epstein dead, it's still attorney-client privilege. He's probably been ordered by a judge even to not talk about it. So like, yeah, this is, we know the files exist. To say otherwise is complete poppycock.
Being suppressed.
This is Alan Dershowitz. He is what I call the super lawyer. He's represented everyone from Jeffrey Epstein to Donald Trump. He's done it all. He's most famous for his representation of OJ. But I specifically want to talk about his work with financier and convicted sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. Alan Dershowitz was the attorney who represented Jeffrey Epstein back in 2008 when he got the sweetheart deal during the Bush administration.
Per agreement, Epstein pleaded guilty to the charge of soliciting prostitution, which is less serious than sex trafficking of minors, and served a 13-month sentence that allowed him to leave prison 6 days a week to go to work. If he had been convicted of sex trafficking of minors, he could have spent decades in prison. But Acosta said many of the victims were too scared and traumatized to testify against Epstein at a possible trial in a federal court. So he said his office felt there was a value to a sure guilty plea that included some time in jail for Epstein. But many considered the deal too lenient and even illegal because the victims had not been informed before it was concluded.
So if anyone would know what evidence there is in the Epstein case, it would be his friend and lawyer in those sex trafficking cases. So now, obviously, breaking news, the Trump administration says there is no list. That list doesn't exist.
But perhaps the biggest bombshell, investigators say they found no incriminating client list of Epstein's, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, and no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
Now, we got to go back in time because there were some people who seemingly were caught up in the Epstein crap. Here's Trump calling out Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew.
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. That island was really a cesspool.
Hey,
There's no question.
Selfie, this blue squirrel, one of the friends of the channel. Great content himself. He covers VTuber news and VTuber topics. I imagine he's probably already come out with videos or coverage regarding the recent, actually, you know what, I'm gonna do that real quick. We're gonna do that just real quick. We have a thing that happened. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Niji Sanji. Yes, I'm going a little. I'm pulling a selfie of the blue squirrel. Huh. Oh, good. Then you actually just have the information. Then I'm gonna bring up your video real quick. With your permission, actually. But I'm gonna just bring up the point where Nijisanti brings up the announcement. Let's see here. There you are. Esther is gone. Okay, 7 hours ago. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Hey guys, Salvi here, just reminding you to, of course, like, subscribe, and follow, and all that kind of good stuff that YouTube asks if you enjoy what video I'm going to put out for you today. Thank you.
By the way, I have new emotes, Salvi.
He is gone. As we move on to Aster Arcadia,
okay,
the big news that is out there in everybody's minds, Aster Arcadia has been separated, quote-unquote separated, from Nijisanji En. Now, the way that they did it was really messed up because they did it worse for Twisty. I really feel bad for Twisty and the way that they did it with her. There's, of course, Aster Arcadia. All the things here, everything's protected.
Oh yeah, I'll show that tweet too.
Aster's stuff here has been removed as well. And this is, of course, a lot quicker. Well, I mean, it's as quick as they needed to be when it comes to this part. I'm glad at least they were quick on that part. But the fact that they did separation with him, where they noticed here. It's announcement regarding Aster Arcadia. We hereby inform you that Aster Arcadia will be separating from Nijisanji En as of July 15th, Japan time, of course, and will not resume streaming activities.
So, for those who don't know, Aster Arcadia is an individual who has, it's believed that basically, Nijisanji found a way to fire Twisty, to shield and protect Aster Arcadia, who has been facing a number of really creepazoid allegations and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say anything legally that you might be facing, but he's kind of a sex pest from rumors and stuff like that. And apparently Twisty basically got fired because she had information on it. Now, of course, the information on her past life and had a private statement that involved racist comments came out, and they used that. But it's widely believed that the reason why they fired Twisty is because she had Danny information on our Aster Arcadia. So they terminated Twisty. They used the vernacular to termination. But here with Aster Arcadia, they use the term separating. Now it's effectively the same thing. Business-wise, it's termination. They're fired. That's all that means. But it does kind of go in the way of the mindset and the state of mind of Nijisanji or whoever wrote this. And this is sad to say with the culture, but the male is given far more slack, far more leniency, and far more protection in a company than the female. And this is kind of a blatantly naked example of that. It was meant to soften the boat for investors. It was as nice as you could be for the wedding. Yeah, that's true. Any color and the chief black. Yeah, about physiognomic. Exactly. But that's what... And so Aster Arcadia has been saying stuff for a while. He's gone. I don't really care. I'm not gonna listen to his style. But there you are. This is definitely them protecting him again. Will we ever see the results of the investigation now? Oh, actually, that's true. Salvi brings up an incredibly accurate point here. Pretty much waiting for the contract to end since he debuted in July 2014. In case they're signing the contract way before that. That's insane. But no, this does make sense because now it's okay, you're separating, and this might be, at least in Nijisanji's eyes, enough for them not to bring up the investigation or anything well, he's fired. He's not even an employee anymore. So why would we release the information regarding the investigation? I guarantee you that's probably the route that they're going to go with, and I think Salva the Blue Squirrel is seeing that as well. Still a lot of EM livers who need to be let go. I agree. But that's definitely, that's what's going on with that. Esther is gone. That is pretty big news, generally speaking. Let's get back to our weird Epstein cover-up of the modern age. Trust me, this is gonna be in the history books as a weird-ass fucking place. We are all, like, pretty much going through history when it comes to this modern-day cover-up.
About it, just ask Prince Andrew.
And he's right. Here's Bill Clinton getting a massage from one of the Epstein girls. Do you think Bill Clinton's on the list? And let me not even start with Prince Andrew, who was filmed with the Epstein victim and Ghislaine Maxwell and even paid a settlement to keep things under wraps.
Yep.
A tentative settlement has been reached in a lawsuit accusing Prince Andrew of sexually abusing Virginia Giuffre. According to a new court filing, the amount that Andrew will pay is confidential and will include a substantial donation to a charity supporting victims' rights.
Oh, wait.
Andrew.
Real quick, I forgot to show. Just real quick, hold on. Okay, so check this out. Okay, let's see here. Here it is. Get that back. Let me full screen this and zoom in a bit so it's easier for you guys to read. But here. So, Jesus Christ, my mouse is, my mouse wheel keeps hopping. I need to get a new mouse, it always sucks. Okay, an aspect regarding astrocardia, we hear about Islamic Vienna, all of that legal mindset, and I reposted this. 10:80 to 10 the same day I stopped by the Niji Sanji building. Coincidence? I think not. It's like an absolutely base. Oh god, we gotta get rid of him. Legal mindset's here, he's asking questions. Oh man, I think that's fucking great. Found a new mouse. Yeah, I need to, but I need to figure out, like, what kind of mouse. A couple on Throne. But I just need to figure out which one. But yeah, the mouse wheel hopping is getting really bad. It's getting in the way of gaming. No, this one... Okay, so this is the... Okay. This is the mouse that you got me, JP Ravenfire, and I didn't want to say anything. But the mouse wheel hopping was pretty much day one. When it arrived. But it wasn't bad and I could like finagle around it. Now it's at a point where it's just unusable. But like this has been like a hot minute. I've been using this just like going. But my chat got me and like one of my mods got me this. I don't want to not use it. Okay, let's continue. I doubt I can do a warranty.
In August, she accused the British royal of sexually abusing her when she was 17 while she traveled with financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, I want to fast forward to 2019 because Donald Trump is president and Donald Trump's Justice Department arrests Epstein on sex trafficking charges for a second time.
Multi-millionaire investment manager Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested for alleged sex trafficking of minors in Florida and New York. The arrest is the result of a joint investigation by...
Yeah, look, I still think that there is there's an argument to say that yes, powerful people wanted Jeffrey Epstein dead, and it's very likely those powerful people did the duty. However they did it, no, whether they got the guards to look the other way, whatever happened, it's what happened. See you later, Magmathop. But it is bizarre to me that the whole Epstein thing happens and the people who are in charge, the Trump administration, go, oh yeah, it was definitely the people who were in charge of anything at the moment that managed to get into a DOJ ordering facility and fucking off this guy. I think that there are plenty of Democrats and plenty of people on the left that are on that list, but I think there are a lot of people on the right too. And I think that both sides have equal amount of stuff to lose if that list were to be released.
By the FBI and the New York City Police Department.
Now, the key point here is Trump was president at the time of this arrest. And as president, Trump is privy to all of the documents in the Epstein case. Trump knows if there's a list. Trump knows if there's not a list. He knows it all because he is the decision maker. He is the man, the president of the United States. And in 2019, when Jeffrey Epstein died in prison, Trump was also president. So he would have known if the cameras were working, all that information Trump was privy to. Matter of fact, it's his information because he is president. So then Trump loses the election of Joe Biden, and he's now running for president again. And while running for president, he is running on this, we're going to release all the Epstein files. We're going to release all the Epstein stuff.
That's what he
We're
said.
going to make sure that there's transparency for the Epstein stuff. Now, mind you, Trump knows what's in those files. He was president. The files were his to maintain. The attorney general, who knew everything that was in those files, reported to Trump. So Trump knows what they have on Epstein. And Trump goes on all these interviews and says things like this.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, it endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But, yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify the Epstein?
Okay, so for those who don't know, I stream on a variety of platforms, but on another platform, I saw this interview, and I saw the jump cut. And later we managed to get released the unreleased footage. Now, I want to remind you guys, when Trump is backed into a corner, he's confronted with something that he doesn't like or doesn't want to acknowledge. He calls it phony, he calls it fake news, there's a lot of fake stuff in there, stuff like that. And you're going to see him say something that was my initial red flag. June 2nd of 2024. I remember talking with my chat about this fucking clip specifically.
Epstein files.
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera.
So just to be clear, the person who absolutely knows if there's a list, absolutely knows if there's more information that we haven't known, absolutely knows what the Epstein files have in them is telling us. He's going to release them all. There is a list, and it's full transparency from that point on. But Trump even goes farther. Trump hires Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi, who all are campaigning the same way. There's a cover-up with the Epstein stuff. There's a
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so that's the thing. All three of those individuals have been campaigning for their positions on a platform of we're going to release the Epstein files. We're going to figure out what happened. I mean, these motherfuckers showed up on Joe Rogan to talk about this stuff.
Client list, and we're going to release everything. And they're the ones for the 4 years that Trump is running for president. Remember, he's running for president again, are saying exactly the same thing Trump is saying. Look, it's there. When we get inside there, we're going to release it. Here is, for instance, Dan Bongino. This is what he was saying previously.
You know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that. His plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it.
So Trump hires Dan Bongino to be deputy FBI director. Remember, Trump absolutely knows what's in those files. Dan Bongino's been saying these things, so go ahead, Dan. Go in and release them. Then, for FBI director, Trump says, hey, I want Kash Patel to be FBI director. Here's what Kash Patel was saying about the Epstein files.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a...
I want to talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking ring.
Absolutely, Senator. Child trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
A lot of people are wondering, because you said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk, is when can we see them and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have, well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well,
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for sure.
He sure did.
Even Trump's personal attorney, who he hired to be U.S. Attorney of New Jersey, she comes out and makes it very clear the information is there and it will be released.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable.
So let's stop for a second and recap so we know exactly what's going on here. When Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, Trump was president. When he died, Trump was president. Trump had all of that information. He knew exactly what was in those files. Why? Because he was president. The attorney general reported to him. He knew everything. When he lost the election, he ran again, saying, hey, we're going to release the files, we're going to release the tapes, we're going to release everything, transparency, then goes and hires people who were saying the same thing he was saying because they believed Trump. He absolutely knew what was in those files. They believed they knew what was in those files, and they all said they were going to release the files.
Question to Professor. Sure. Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the staff?
Yeah, sure. If I
could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
So I'm asking like a simple question. Wait, no, I don't want to start Q&A. I want to start a poll. There we go. Was that interjection a bit suspicious? That's my only question. That's really my only question.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, doesn't matter. I told you, you're an attorney. You're held to a higher standard. You know what words mean. You responded with, client list, it's on my desk awaiting review. So shut up, bitch. I called this. I called this walk back.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent.
Also, let's be real here. Nobody was even asking or requesting or implying that that specific part of the evidence is going to be released. We're talking about specifically the client list and the evidence that you said that you had, not the thousands of videos of child porn. Like, this is such a deflection, it's fucking disgusting.
I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing.
Did that not all just sound like a lot of word salad? Look, it's an old system, and so it resets every night, and there's a minute missing from every... No, shut up. Stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. Like, Jesus.
That a minute is missing every night.
So now, the administration's conclusion that there was no list, there was never a list. It's all nothing. It's a big nothing burger. But there's another person in this story who we can verify absolutely knows if there's a list. That person is Donald Trump's attorney, and that person was also Jeffrey Epstein's attorney. Matter of fact, he was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney who was fighting the federal government in the sex trafficking case. His name is Alan Dershowitz. And Alan Dershowitz makes it very clear there is a list, there are people on it, and he knows who's on the list. Why? Because he's seen the list, because it's his client's list. And on top of that, he's going to make it very clear that there is a cover-up to keep people's names out of the media who are on
thank you
that
so much
list.
for the 10.
Here's Alan.
This is not an opinion. This is a fact.
Okay, hold on, Alan. Okay, hold on, Alan. The worst part of this is there is a small voice in my head saying the real conspiracy is they are being honest. Maybe they spoke big, looked through, and they have nothing to pin on. And honestly, that is the most generous that we can give. But the problem is Donald Trump's words themselves betray that. Because again, remember, Donald Trump was president when Epstein was arrested. He would have access to all that information. This is the dude's attorney saying that the list exists and stuff like that. The only person convicted in Epstein-related cases, Yancy Maxwell, who's looking at 20 years for sex trafficking minors to Epstein, she says that there is a list and she's willing to speak to Congress. So my question is then, this is an honesty. If all the people who were closest to this situation, the only people who actually would know are admitting that there is a list. Even Donald Trump says that there is a list, but it's been written by Obama and Clinton, so it should be discounted. But he himself admits that there is a list. Epstein's attorney admits there's a list. The one person convicted of sex trafficking people to Epstein says that there's a list. I'm sorry to say, but I think there is a list.
I have seen, remember, I was accused falsely in the Epstein, and ultimately I was completely cleared. The woman admitted that she may have mistook me for somebody else and withdrew all of her lawsuits. And so from day one, from the day I was accused, I said I want every document out because I knew every document would prove
and
I
I'm
was
not pinning guilt. I'm not saying like I'm not saying necessarily that the reason why Trump is not releasing the list is because he's on it. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that there might be people in his corner that might be on the list, and somebody in a group of people are being actively protected from having this list exposed. I'm not saying that Trump is one of those people, but Trump is one of the people who is protecting the people on that list. See you around at the Goat. I hope you have a good night.
So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know.
Okay, I did say the only way that he would not be actually stating the names is because if he's one, bound by confidentiality, or two, he's been ordered by a judge to not talk about it. It sounds like both are true. It sounds like one is confidentiality, and two, a judge has told him he's not allowed to talk about this.
No, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, and that's wrong.
Just out of curiosity, without names, are these politicians, business leaders, both?
They're everything. And let me tell you, a lot of them are, at least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers. And the judges have said, if somebody calls themselves a victim, we're not going to give any information about them. But they may not be victims. They may be perpetrators. So we don't have information about false accusers. And we know there have been many false accusers who have accused innocent people for money. And those records are being deliberately, willfully suppressed. And they shouldn't be suppressed. If the accusation is allowed out, so should the material that diminishes the credibility of the accuser. We want total transparency on this. Every single document, no redaction. That's what I've said.
And that's all anybody's asking for. And that's why so many people are so upset right now and think that Trump is absolutely fumbling the ball. And again, I'm only saying Trump because I would say, oh, it was the DOJ, it was Pam Bondi or whatever. But then Trump went out and he said, oh, hey, my girl Pam Bondi is doing a great job and people are being mean to her. It's like, well, okay, well, clearly then you endorse Pam Bondi's actions, which is releasing a memo that says that there is no list and there is no evidence collaborating that Epstein blackmailed powerful individuals. We know that's not true.
From day one, I waive any of my rights of privacy. Anything there is about me, I'm happy because it will be exculpatory.
So, Jeffrey Epstein's criminal defense attorney in his criminal defense case, who saw all the evidence, is telling you there's a list. This guy happened to also represent Donald Trump in his impeachment case. One of the greatest lawyers on the planet is telling you they're lying to you.
Yep.
There's obviously a list. It's obviously there. He knows whose names are on the list. Now, over the weekend, Trump then came out with another statement. And that statement essentially said that it was the Democrats who created the Epstein file. And
now, and this is something that isn't getting as much attention either. And I don't know why, but I'm going to bring attention to it right now. I'm going to see if I can find it. Because there was a report I read, God, what was it, a month or so ago, where somebody tried claiming that, like, the Democrats must have stolen the Epstein files from Pam Bondi's desk. Now, this didn't get much traction. It was kind of quickly dismissed, but I do remember this idea being floated around. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fucking stupid. But now I'm wondering if that wasn't like an early attempt to try and figure out how they can get out of releasing the Epstein files, especially with what we've seen recently. Okay, here we go. No, not a day ago, not 2 hours ago, not 8 days ago. That Jesus Christ, the algorithm's so flooded. Not 3 days, not even 6 days. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna find it. With that statement, he is trying to deflect and trying to get his fans on his side. Yeah, it's like, guys, it's the enemy trying to break us apart. We have to hold strong together. No, dude, you got caught red-handed.
this was a Democrat plot to essentially destroy the Trump administration. Here is Trump's exact words. I'm going to have my friend Viva from the channel Viva Free read it.
What's going on with my, quote, boys and in some cases, quote, gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and, quote, selfish people, end quote, are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, sorry, I thought I said cooked by Hillary, crooked Hillary, Comey,
Okay.
Brandon.
This is a wild conspiracy tin brain theory, okay? I'm prefacing this statement by saying that because it is absolutely crazy. But when he says, I'll prefer a guy who never died, it kind of reminds me of somebody who, like even in the comic books or whatever, like why won't you die already? Like, it seems like a weird phrasing that kind of implies to me that Donald Trump, in his administration, might have had a hand in encouraging Jeffrey Epstein to terminate his subscription from Life early. It just seems a little bit weird, the phrasing and vernacular. It's a tinfoil theory. I have no evidence to back my theory. Just as we have no evidence to say that somehow the Democrats who weren't in power at the time were the ones who were able to get into that cell and do the job. Okay. Anyway.
And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, laptop from hell, and more. They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me, and now my so-called, quote, friends, end quote, are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there were anything in there that could have hurt MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They have never given up. Geez, Louisa. They've never given up on the John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., no matter how much success we have had, securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons. It's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years.
I hate this kind of hyperbole so much. But yet we are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. Hoover Dam. But sorry, I felt just like that. The acquisition of the Louisiana Purchase. Like, there's so many things that I can think of that was done by one president that is far better than anything Trump has managed to achieve so far. I'm not saying he hasn't achieved some good things. I'm not saying he's not doing good things, because he is. But let's be real here. This was one of your main promises. And gloating about what you're about to achieve is better than any administration has achieved in over 100 years. That's insane. You can't say shit like that, Jesus.
And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals.
I'm sorry, what? Why should the FBI be focused on all of this stuff? Voter fraud. Sure, yeah, that's within there. Political corruption, also sure. Act Blue. Weird, but okay, I guess. But that is cruelly targeted. Should we be looking at Project America or any right-winged political groups? The rigged and stolen election of 2020. I don't know what he really wants to rewrite history here. He really wants to, like, he cannot handle the fact that he lost. It's okay, dude. You won. You won again. You're fine. You don't mean to... That's what he just keeps saying, and Jesus Christ. Why doesn't it go
instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes, we need to look
Let
at
Pam
everyone.
Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she is looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
So Trump ran on having documents. Then they say we don't have any documents. But in this statement, Trump is clearly saying there are documents, but they're left-wing conspiracy documents. Even some of Trump's strongest supporters called this out.
We were all told there was more, and now they're telling us there's nothing.
And like a sap, you believed them.
Okay. So President Trump has acknowledged that the Epstein files exist here. President Trump has acknowledged.
This is something that is crossing party lines. It's not about left. It's not about the right. We don't care about the political affiliation of anybody on that list. We care about whether or not they're on that list. And, I mean, I'm sorry, you built most of MAGA on the release of the Epstein files for this most recent election. Of course, a lot of them are going to be pissed by this walkback.
Knowledge that the files were written and that there is something there. He says that they were written, however, by his enemies and therefore will not be released. Whoa, what? That's new in this entire zeitgeist. This is something that is wildly interesting. And then he goes all in on supporting Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. No mention of Dan Bongino, where all of this, again, sort of transpired.
So are we really going to sit here and pretend that there's nothing to see here, that this is some type of conspiracy theory? If this evidence doesn't convince you that there is a list, there are prominent people on that list, and they're not releasing that list because they are trying to hold back the public backlash against these people doing these horrible things with children, then I'm sorry. I think you're not being reasonable. And I say that because let's say Jeffrey Epstein didn't write out a client list. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They admit there's over 200 victims. Those victims would know who they were giving massages to, right? There were tapes everywhere. He taped everything. Those tapes would tell you who went to the island, and then you ask the masseuse, did you give this guy a massage, right? Over 200 masseuses. They literally have the list of masseuses, but they're telling us there is no incriminating list or statements. If you believe that, then you're just not being reasonable. All the evidence is there. Jeffrey Epstein's attorney is telling you the evidence is there. Oh yeah, and he was also Trump's attorney. So listen, people, I'm telling you, this is the reason why I think the administration is covering up something big, and they want to make you believe that you are so dumb to believe that there was a list. It's a conspiracy theory. That's because I think some of the most top-level media people, some of the top-level billionaires are on that list, and they just don't want you to know because they know who got massages. And when I say massages, we're talking about sex with. They know who gave the massages. They know who flew to the island, but there's no concrete list. And think about the claim Pam Bondi made also. Her claim was all these children were blanked, right?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have, well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released.
But if that's the case, then why not go after the blankest? Why not? There's so much more here. But if you don't hear from me again, it's because this video convinced many of you that this is an obvious cover up here. But as always, tell me where I want in the comment section. Go in the comment section and say, Nate, you're wrong. I don't believe any of it. There was never a list. There was never a list. I don't care who says it. I don't care if Trump said there was a list. The FBI director, they all said there was a list. I don't even care if Jeffrey Epstein's...
Okay, he's gone. He's crashing out. Sit there. All right, thank you very much, everybody, for reacting to content with me for the better part of, I think, 3 hours. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell as hard as you possibly can, and we will see you all on the next one.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa. That's too damn bad.
Frankly, there is nothing I can
Mitchie's
say.
cooking.
I've always had a thing for pushing the extremes. And I just got a thing you won't find in the magazines.
Let Mitchie cook.
This molded silicone has got me begging, please. Give me more of what I really need. Cause there is no cock like horse cock. Send your asshole into shock. You need horse cock, of course cock. Grab the...
What does tofu and dildos have in common?
What?
What does tofu and dildos have in common?
The fuck? I don't know.
They're both meat substitutes. Oh! Peace! I'm out!
You got anyone you want to call out in the heavyweight division?
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that, Hasan Piker? I'm coming to kill you! In Los Angeles, at your house!
Or in the ring?
No, in real life. I'm going to stalk him and become obsessed with him. And wear his makeup and his dresses. And use his skin as a coat. Like the ancient Irish did.
Well, that's your winner, sir!